right. Let's do this. Spring camp reaction so far. 3, 2, 1, yo. What's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? SEC fans everywhere. Welcome. Hope you guys are doing swell. I know the algorithm has not been super duper nice to me lately, but I don't care. I'm going to keep doing things the way I've done them for a while. And yes, I used a total AI thumbnail because I thought it was, if you look at it long enough, it gets funnier the more you look at the thumbnail. I've been using the thumbnail. We had the mascot, as you can see right here on the bottom part of your screen. Been using the AI for a little bit. It's just kind of fun to do. I think there's been some pretty cool stuff spit out of AI. So yeah, the longer you look at that AI thumbnail, look at it. Like, it gets funnier. I like comedy wherever I could find it. All right. I have been to spring camp both days. Was there yesterday morning. Not for super long. And then today I was there until, they're giving the media unprecedented access. I'm going to tell you right now, they've usually been pretty, Pittman's talked about it. They've got a big fear about letting stuff slip. They've had a big fear lately of letting stuff slip out. They don't want people to know too much about what's going on. Tactics, being cerebral and thinking long-term, big picture. We don't want to show off too much because we don't want teams to know what's going on here in Fayetteville. And they've kind of let go of that a little bit. So they're giving the media more access. It's good for us. Tons of footage, tons of stuff. They're letting us film, and when I say film, do this right here. Hold your phone, and yeah, I need a new case. I've been tearing at it, but hold your phone up or your camera up, and just you could video for 5 periods, which is a lot. Also, to be fair, it is spring camp. We're not talking like week to week. We're not talking like, we got Oklahoma State next weekend, right? Like, they've got to get prepared for Oklahoma State. Nope, this is spring camp. So it's not super surprising that they've opened the floodgates up just a little bit for the media. All right, make sure you guys do me a favor. Like, share, subscribe. If you're new here, make sure you do those things. If you're new or old. We're not as high on the total amount of subscribed viewers is the highest it's ever been, which is not necessarily a good thing because, again, it shows you, if you look hard enough in the numbers, in the analytics, they're not pushing this content to unsubscribed people. It's mostly just people who are subscribed that are getting the notifications, or I'm coming up on your feed. So to help that, to help fight the system, the stupid-ass algorithm that YouTube has, you've got to share the content, not just on social media, but if you could, share it to a friend. If you're in a group chat and you're all it's you and your boys talking Razorback sports, please. I'm sure one of your friends may like me or may be open to the idea of watching Tuss Talk content. Feel free to share. Link the little arrow, that funny-looking arrow on the bottom. Share the content. That's the only way we can fight this. The algorithm has just been absolutely brutal. Part of it, though. It sucks, but it's just part of it. All right. First off, this isn't possible without Patreon supporters. I appreciate you guys. We did our giveaway for this month. We did our giveaway for last month. As you guys know, Treylon Burks, the autographed card. This is what's up. This is what you got to do. You got to be legendary status to be eligible for that card. Legendary status. That's autographed. It says flawless 9 of 10 there. That will focus correctly. You've got to be legendary status to be eligible for a shot at winning that card. We've also got, maybe you don't want to be legendary status, but guess what? If you want to just be a supporter, straight up $4 supporters, you could be eligible for the Jason Peters, and then the $8 is Steve Little. So how about that? Okay, fighting the system in more ways than one, you guys. The ad revenue is also shrank, so we're doing what we can. And I also just want to, I like the idea of doing these giveaways. Also, it's not possible without sponsors. Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. They operate out of Central Arkansas and in Northwest Arkansas. They offer same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. 501-244-3667 is how you get a hold of them. They've got a whole bunch of 5-star reviews, and they offer free estimates. So you just need an estimate. You need them to come in, and maybe there's something going on with your door. They'd be more than happy to assist you. Their link is provided for you down below. And, of course, the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria. If you're in town for baseball this weekend and you're in the mood to just hit up a fun bar and get a slice, get a delicious pizza, some pie, try out the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria on Emma Street in Springdale, Arkansas. Okay, boy, oh boy, where do we start? I have uploaded a couple of videos. We have Pittman's presser today, and of course, we heard from him on Tuesday. Excuse me, we heard from the players yesterday. And then, of course, like I said, I've been at practice these last 2 days. I posted on Twitter a video of the offensive line coach. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Twitter. It's on my name, not Tuss Talk. If you go and check that out, I tweeted, if I could pull it up, Eric Matios working with the offensive line, and of course the video is shown below. Something that stands out to me, how well he communicates with his players. They're asking questions, he responds. Now, I want to make something perfectly clear. That is not to say that Kennedy or any other coach hasn't done that on this staff or previous staffs. I'm not so sure that I ever saw anybody ask Coach Kennedy very many questions. I don't know that I ever saw him kind of not stop, but pause for a second and then answer the guy's question. I thought that was something interesting, and he didn't just do that once. I think he did that earlier. I was walking up and I saw him instructing a player, and it sounded as if he was answering the player's question. So that's what it sounded like. That may not have been the case. I watched the offensive line quite a bit today, actually, and I stayed. Man, oh man, did they give us a lot of stuff to watch. We got to see fastball. We got to record fastball, which is not very common. Now, that will probably change in fall camp. That'll probably change in the week-to-week stuff, right, in practice. But I'm going to tell you one thing. A couple of guys that stood out to me today, all the quarterbacks I thought stood out. Now, I've got people DMing me and asking me in Discord, like, how are the quarterbacks looking? I mean, it's easy to look great, when you're not in full pads and you're not in full speed and you don't have an opposing defense, right? You can do drills all day long. It's kind of crazy how people foam at the mouth at watching drills and how people kind of overanalyze what they're doing. Guys, everybody looks good, when first off, it's a highlight video, and secondly, when you don't have pads on and you don't have 6'5", 300-pound human beings coming to crush your skull in. So I think some people foam at the mouth a little bit too much of that stuff. What matters to me is, it's full speed, full pad. But again, I will say there are some things that kind of stand out a little bit. It's the touch on the pass, that beautiful little flick of the wrist. Green does have that. People have referred to it as a hitch. I don't know. He's got a different kind of throwing motion. But I was impressed by everybody, but I thought Jacoby Criswell today dropped some absolute dimes. And the one guy that people kept hitting, no matter who the quarterback was, it was Luke Hasz. Luke Hasz makes the job of the quarterback so much easier. He looks – now, I saw him without pads last year. He looks more confident. He looks faster. He looks smoother. He looks like he's running his routes cleaner. He has potential superstar written all over him. Now, I don't know, maybe superstar's too big. He has the potential to be really special. He's wide open. It's just like last year. You remember I was telling you guys last year before we ever saw him in real time in a real game situation, I was saying, damn, this dude's wide open. This is a freshman? This kid just turned 18? I think he's always been a pretty good route runner for a tight end. I think he's a receiving style tight end. He's a receiving tight end. That's what he is. But he looks the part this year, and I think it's very clear that in his time off, he didn't waste time. He was either in the gym or, maybe working on routes. He looks good so far. Jacoby Criswell hit him on one throw. It was a beautiful, beautiful down the middle throw, and it was a hard pass to make because the defender, and I didn't catch who was on him. I didn't catch who was catching him or who was on him. I'm trying to think who that might have been. It might have been a linebacker because it was right over the middle of the field. But anyways, it was a beautiful throw, and it was a great catch by Luke Haas. Taylon Green made a gorgeous throw. I don't know what kind of route it was because, it was during 7-on-7, and I was kind of watching all the receivers take off from the line of scrimmage just to see how quick they are off their first step. And I look up, and all of a sudden I caught the tail end of the route, and again, he caught Luke Haas on a beautiful throw. Some of the guys around me, some of the other media people around me are going, well, okay, they're at least showing off that they're capable of making these throws without full pads. So, again, it gets real when the full pads come on. Really, the thing that you could take away from spring camp is energy. That's something you can't, no matter if you're full pads or not, that's something you can feel. That's something you can see, something you can, well, I don't know if I want to say smell, but it's certainly something you can sense. There's energy in that building. I don't know. Maybe I'm not drinking any Kool-Aid here. I'm just simply telling you what I felt when I walked in there and watched them. These guys are excited. The offense, at least from what I've seen from the offense, because I haven't watched the defense as much, the offense looks excited. They look hungry, I think more so than they did at any point last year during spring camp. When guys make plays, they're screaming and hooting and hollering. Someone asked about Bobby Petrino. Petrino is very vocal. And something he did today that I talked to sometimes names slip my mind. It's another media guy Curtis he's now with Natural State Sports. He was with or Natty State. What do they call themselves? Natty Sports, I'm sorry. John Neighbors and them boys. I was talking with him, and I said, something that sticks out to me, and I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but he is 63, 62 years old. Petrino is running or jogging pretty quickly down the field. And it's like, and Curtis said, yeah, when you think about it, he's in his 60s. That's not something you see 60-year-olds do very often. And Petrino's just, and I'm sitting here like, dude, I'd be huffing and puffing 10 yards in. Now, I'm 40 and I'm fat and I'm out of shape, but very much out of shape. But he's not lost that. I don't know. You could tell he's enjoying it. I think that's the thing. He may not show a lot of emotion on his face, but you could tell Petrino's in there, man. Now, what we have to be careful of is just simply because we're all excited. If football's here, it's in the air, right? We can see it. We're there, or I'm there. The thing you don't want to do is drink the Kool-Aid. Like, oh, wow, look, it's going to be so great. They have to continue what we've seen, and they've got to improve off what we've seen, and they've got to build off of what we've seen so far. I think they're off to a good start in spring camp. Now, Pittman, he's, you look at his face, he's just very kind of like, I don't know that he really wants to come out and say it because I think he knows – his butt's on the he's on a little bit of, he's on the hot seat. There's no other way to put it. And I think he knows that. I don't think he wants to, I think he's probably tempering expectations a little bit. It feels like, or he doesn't want to display any real emotion, but there's a lot to say about what happened today and what's happened the last 2 days. Again, all the quarterbacks have looked for the most part good, sharp. At times, there's also been some pretty ugly throws. Malachi Singleton is another guy who's running with the twos, and that is a little bit surprising because I really thought with Criswell's experience being around, I know it's a new offense, but being around Pittman, we've always known or we've always felt like Pittman's pretty loyal to his guys, especially his upperclassmen. That doesn't appear to be the case so far for Jacoby. And I thought Jacoby looked good today. In fact, I thought him and Malachi looked really good. Malachi Singleton looked really good. I appreciate the likes and retweets on social media. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, it's awesome to be there, to see it again. This is technically my second spring, this fall camp, assuming I can go, or I'm able to go. Things change, but assuming that'll be my third spring or my third fall camp. So, yeah, the offense has been way more explosive. I remember last year talking about spring camp and telling you guys we're going to see a lot of pistol and we're going to see a lot of running. And it was, to be fair, you don't know what they're working on. They're trying to work on opening up running lanes. Maybe they're working on blocking technique, but it was a lot of just – it was, from my perspective, as someone who's trying to talk about the fun parts of spring camp, there wasn't a lot of fun parts last year. I didn't see a whole lot of explosiveness. I did see the offense at times. I thought it looked okay at the time. I don't recall reporting it being bad, but I do remember kind of thinking, I wonder if this is how every spring camp goes, because it was my first. It was very lackluster, didn't see a lot of explosive plays on offense. So far, it feels like this has been a little bit more entertaining, more explosive plays. We saw an end around today. It was a double reverse, and it went yard. I'm pretty sure he scored off of it, or at least he went pretty far. And I don't remember who that was. I think it was the freshman Dozier, who caught the edge and went upfield. Yeah, there's a lot of things here to like. Let's go over, well, at least, from the perspective of somebody who's there seeing it. Let's go over kind of what we've seen, or who we've seen. Obviously, Taylon Green, 2 days in a row, he's been working with the ones. I don't think Pittman wants to come out and say it just yet, but it seems pretty clear Taylon Green is QB1. And that's probably pointing out the obvious to people who've really been paying attention, but I know there's a lot of people who don't. They come here and they want to listen to what I say. And I will tell you, it appears so far Taylon Green is the guy. When there's been opportunities for other quarterbacks to work with the ones and twos and threes, I think we saw that a little bit outside of – KJ he worked with the ones as far as I can remember from start to finish. Now, there may have been a day where he kind of – maybe he was off doing something and they had someone else take his spot, but it wasn't because of quarterback competition. Taylon Green has every shot to work with the ones. He has been with the ones. Malachi Singleton with the twos, so that's a redshirt freshman. Singleton impressed. Otis Kirk said something today that was pretty eye-opening. He said, I thought last year I knew he was a freshman, but I thought he had a long ways to go. And he said today, I didn't know he could be that good at this level. Singleton, we were talking about the quarterback battle coming down to Jacoby Criswell and Taylon Green. We probably didn't talk enough about the quarterback battle being a three-way thing between Taylon Green, Malachi Singleton, and Jacoby Criswell. And it's looking like it's Taylon Green and Malachi Singleton. Now, at the moment, Singleton's not taking a single snap with the ones, so it would appear as though Green – it's his job to lose. Now, that could change. Sam Pittman was asked about it today, if this was going to be a rotating thing. Pittman kind of dodged the question a little bit. I don't think he came out and said it outright. Again, it feels like Taylon Green is QB1, and it's his job to lose, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. For the running backs, Jaquindon Jackson and Isaiah Gustav, I believe, have primarily taken the carries for the ones and twos, which Jaquindon with Jaquindon Jackson getting the bulk of the carries. He worked with the twos yesterday, and I think it was Augusta was with the ones. Yeah, I think that's how it went. And then today it was Jaquindon Jackson. So again, that's another battle. Dominic Johnson still wearing that knee brace. He's been in the mix. I honestly, the more I see Braylon Russell, I want to see more of him. He's wearing number 0 in practice. So again, if you see number 0 on those videos, that's who that is. That's Russell, and 22 is Jaquindon Jackson. Augusta is still 23 and Dominic 20. But Jaquindon Jackson has looked really good. Someone ran a wheel route today, and it was really impressive, and I think it was who was that? Was that Debinion who caught that wheel route? Anyways, it was impressive. I'm telling you, the offense just it's I don't know if maybe last year, again, they may have just been working on things and that's why they ran the football so much. This is obviously different. They're working on, they're throwing the ball to the running backs. They've got guys running deep routes. Quarterbacks are throwing deep balls. I don't feel like through the first 2 days, and guys, I was there every practice except maybe 2 that I missed. And I think one of those days is because one of my kids had a dentist appointment or something. But I don't know that I saw the offense ever look this explosive. Again, pump your brakes on whether or not that transfers into fall camp and onto the field in 2024. But so far, and the running backs have been a big part of that. So Jaquindon Jackson has primarily been with the ones today, and I swear he took a snap with the ones yesterday, but I think it was Augusta for the most part. The wideouts, it's been Andrew Armstrong, Tyrone Broden, Isaiah Centenia. There's been a little bit of a battle with Centenia and Jaden Wilson. They've lined Varkey's Gums up here and there at different spots on the field at wide receiver. Luke has in the tight end room, of course. He's been the guy I'm sorry, not Varkey's Gums. My bad. I meant C.J. Brown has lined up outside, and I thought I saw C.J. Brown line up at the slot. He caught a couple of passes today, apparently, but I missed it. At tight end, it's been Luke has, and I swear I had notes that Gums. Well, anyways, I know I had notes on Gums today, and I'm pretty sure he lined up at wide receiver also. But Luke has at tight end. And Andreas Paskey, I don't know if I'm probably butchering his name, but apparently he had an injury yesterday riding on his scooter, and he still showed up to practice. I mean, you know, and he's someone who's been working with the twos. You know, he wears number 81. I saw him, pretty sure he had a catch today. He's 6'6", 262 pounds. He's effectively one of your tallest tight ends. Shamar Easter has been working out with the threes a little bit. Ty Washington, I saw him. He was out of pads. He wasn't practicing. He wasn't participating today. Offensive line. Now, this is the room I kept up with the most today. I was with them all day. The thing that I think everyone has taken away from practice so far is how much attention Pittman has been giving the offensive line. Fernando Carmona has been working with the ones at left tackle. Amarian Harris has been right there, and I that's another battle to keep an eye on. Patrick Kutas and Josh Street, Luke Brown at left guard. Kutas, obviously the starter there. Addison Nichols. Pay attention to the center's position. You know, they're after that kid out of someone's got to help me out. Where's he from? It's not North Texas or Tulsa. Is it Boise State? San Jose State? They're after a center somewhere. I thought Addison Nichols has looked pretty good, but again, we're gonna have to hold judgment until we see some more pad action. Josh Brown has been at number 78. He's been working with the ones, of course, at the right guard spot. Kobe Branham, I must have missed him. They said he worked with the twos. They said he worked with the twos. I think that was today. I didn't see it. I must have missed it. I know I saw number 70 out there, Paris Patterson. Keyshawn Blackstock, that's the Michigan State transfer. He was at right tackle. Tykees Crawford. I heard the coach compliment him twice, and I heard 2 other players compliment Tykees Crawford. I was that close. If you go watch that video, I almost got ran over today, and I'm a big dude, okay? I'm not exactly small and skinny. I literally had to get in between these 2 guys that were working on some drills. It looked like they were working on pull drills, and they came around, and I didn't realize, oh wait, I might be in the way here. And by the time I realized, I had my phone up, and I had to like do this, and they split. Thank God both of them saw me, and they split. That would have been a 2-ton diesel wreck is what that would have been. You would have heard that miles away. But those are big dudes. But yeah, Tykees Crawford's getting some love. Tommy Vorhall was in the mix. He's a redshirt junior. And so yeah, I think the offensive line, the thing that stands out the most for the first 2 days of practice has been Sam Pittman's participation. Guys, he was with them all morning. And he was yesterday as well. Now, I didn't watch the offensive line near as much. I was watching Petrino and the quarterbacks, just kind of seeing, how that was all working out. As far as I could tell, everyone seems to be bought in, including the offensive linemen. But Pittman was down there with him yesterday, and I saw him down there today quite a bit. It's very clear that what I think is happening, last spring, Pittman was everywhere. He would do his little walks, right? He would walk over to the running backs. Quarterbacks are usually right there in the same vicinity. He'd walk over to the wideouts, the offensive line. He might stop for a second. Towards the end of the season last year, he was definitely down there, and that's when that video dropped of him dropping some swear words. And then he was there for maybe 10 minutes, maybe 15 minutes, and that's usually by the time we're leaving. The media was, our time is over, we're heading to the gate. Then he would kind of, walk over, and then they would go to some more team drills. That's not been the case. And it was the same way during last spring to fall camp last year to week. He didn't spend a whole bunch of time with the offensive lineman, and that became the most common complaint. Why isn't the guy who for 3 decades was considered not all of those 30 years, towards his last 10 years or so of being an offensive line coach is when he really developed a name for himself. And obviously he worked with Georgia and did a really good job here in his brief time at Arkansas. But why is it the guy who's been an offensive line coach for 30 years considered, again, leading up to the time he became the head coach at Arkansas, why isn't he working more with the offensive linemen? I think in the offseason, there might be a structure in place. There might be this big picture thing for him where he kind of slates out his year and he says, this is what I'm going to do this year. And maybe last year it was like too little, too late. You can't change what you're doing now. You just have to ride. You just got to ride this wave. With this year, the structure, the big picture, that kind of CEO mentality has, it's now, I know I've got to be more. I've got to be with the offensive line more. I don't know that this is a reaction to fans or the media talking about it. I think this is probably Pittman going, yeah, no, I need to be down there more with those guys. I need to be involved. He called himself the GA over there with the offensive line with Matios. He was his GA. Obviously, we know the truth of it is that's the master in the student down there, right? I mean, come on, say what you want about Pittman as a head coach. This guy is I don't know that I want to say legend among offensive line coaches, but I know he's highly respected. And that's why it didn't shock everybody that he got the job from the people on the outside, not necessarily in the inside, but especially other position coaches and guys who've worked with him before. I can remember reading the tweets like, yeah, this guy he's it when it comes to offensive line coaching. And at the time, everyone said, well, it's gonna work its way over as a head coach. He's gonna work out, and it certainly seemed like it was for the first 2 years. And how quickly he was able to turn that around, where you go from not winning an SEC game to then winning 3, should have been 4 his first year, and then we saw what happened in 2021, and then he just kind of lost steam since then. So I think the big picture for him, and I know it's real easy to pile on. People are mad at him. Oh, he doesn't have that CEO mentality. Come on, Ty. He's horrible. He's whatever. Put an expletive in there. I think the truth is the guy's smarter than you think, and I think that this is him putting together that his plan is I've got to be more involved, and that's the structure that he's put in place for 2024. I certainly hope that's the case anyways. Maybe I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, but I think that what he's doing, whether or not you think he's smart enough to do it, let's just all agree that thank God he's doing it, because his wisdom, his 3 decades of experience coaching that position is desperately needed. And especially with all these new faces in the offensive line room, it's needed. You need someone like, imagine having him calling himself your GA, your grad assistant. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, sign me up, although it could also be a little, might put a little steam under your collar. So off the offensive line, I don't know that anyone has stood out because I only got today to watch, and everyone looks good when they're going up against the dummy. I did again. I heard Tykees Crawford getting some love today from players and coaches. It's hard to say anyone's really standing out. It's good to see that the transfers are working. I mean, they're in and they're with the ones. I don't know that it's a good sign that it seems like the transfers are either competing or currently starting. It probably just tells you what some of the problems were from a year ago. They're so bad that you had to go grab these guys out of the portal, and they're going to come in and compete. But Aston Nichols is in the mix for sure. Fernando Carmona also, so that's two guys out of the portal, and then Keyshawn Blackstock. So you've got several guys out of the portal that are expected at the moment to be starters. All right. Make sure, again, you guys like, share, subscribe. SMU. You're right. Yeah, you're right. Kid out of SMU. Ty, how vocal are Petrino and Green in practice? Sam said there's a lot of leadership in the QB room. I see what you're doing. Does Petrino still have his venom? Now I was never there. Obviously, I was, I was not working in media. What was I doing in 2000? I was working in marketing for Sam's Club in 2009, in the early part of 2010. Yeah, I wasn't doing this, so it's hard to say. I don't know, based on what I have seen from then and then comparing it to now, obviously he's not the man in charge. It's not his show in terms of the whole thing that you're seeing. You got to understand, like, when you walk in there, you have your individual groups. You've got some guys doing cone drills. They do these things with these colored trash cans. I saw Petrino lining those up. You've got, your defense, and they're all broken up. Every coach kind of has their philosophy on how to work those. This isn't like Bobby's just a part of the system. He's just a cog in the machine. He's not the machine like he once was. He controlled both sides of the line of scrimmage his first time around. Now he's only the OC, so it's hard to compare. Everything's on your shoulders, right? Then, and now you're only responsible for the offense. So it's hard to say. Like, I didn't see him screaming and cussing and swearing and doing that underjaw thing where he's really angry in his underjaw. I don't know that I've seen that. I did hear him yell. It's in a video that I posted yesterday. You can go watch it. It's a YouTube short. You hear him at the end. You can hear him raise his voice, but I don't know that I've seen him like pissed off, angry. He seems like when he walks around, he's just happy to be a part of it, Nothing wrong with taking a sip of the Kool-Aid. Well, yeah, maybe a little bit, but I have to I try to go into it like an outsider, looking in, and I have to pull off the fan part, but you're not wrong. It's easy to see what you're seeing and just be like, okay, all right, some of these guys look legit, and all right, maybe that's sipping the Kool-Aid a little bit. I don't know. Camo Gang says the expectations will let you down. Well, everyone's got a different set of expectations, though, Camo. Some of them are realistic, some of them aren't. If your expectations last year were like mine, where you really bought in and loved the idea of an experienced offensive coordinator who has worked with Pittman before, who had a senior quarterback, who had some really, what we thought at the time, key pieces up front on the offensive line, it's easy to just be like, yeah, no, I think they can win 8 or 9 games. And yeah, I was obviously, who wasn't let down? TCU targeting Jimmy Smith. I think, didn't we hear the same thing about, who was it? Kentucky or no? Was it Georgia? Folks were saying that he was going to go coach at Georgia. If you lose another guy to TCU, that's going to be, nothing surprises me. We look small on tape. Well, Camo's just got all the positive takes in the world today, man. I don't know about that. I don't know about small. They look, I don't know. That's, I'll have to go back and I want to know what you're watching. I thought they looked, my God, your starting quarterback's 6'6". You've got a couple of pretty big running backs. The offensive line looks, they look like they're decent size. I don't, you've got some guys on the defensive line. They're north of 350 pounds. Petrino yelling at the quarterbacks is just the medicine I need after 4-8 season. Right? It feels weird not having KJ. It feels weird not having KJ as the starter. It feels like he's been quarterback forever. Yeah, it's first time, that you really don't know who your starter is. It feels like it's Green. Camo always has pessimistic thoughts. Yeah, well, I mean, I get it. Like, I understand that narrative or that thought, like, don't have high expectations and you'll never be let down. But if you're that fearful of being let down, then you're going to be the most pessimistic, annoying person ever to be around, and not very many people are going to want to be around you. So is it that much of a gap to already say he's the starter for Talon? I don't have an answer for that, because Malachi Singleton, has looked the part. I mean, he's looked really good. It's tough to say that Malachi, I would not rule him out as someone who could compete. But when you look at the first 2 days, no one else has taken any snaps at the ones. And typically when you're rotating and you're trying to get an idea of who can work well with what group, well, you start to see them trickle in with the ones. You haven't seen him trickle. You haven't seen anybody else trickle with the ones outside of Green, as far as I could tell. Now, if someone else is reporting something different, then they're seeing something I must have missed. Because remember, I'm one guy. I'm not a team. I'm just one guy. I don't have 2 or 3 other people walking the sidelines, helping me out. It's just me. So sometimes I'll try to lean in on another media member and ask, like, hey, how so-and-so looked or whatever. I was told today Varkey's Gums looked the part. Gums looked really good. He had a couple, and I saw one of his catches. Gums does look, and Pittman was asked about him today, as a matter of fact, that Gums had really, like, his confidence level is higher. Yeah, I see it in Discord now. TCU is targeting Arkansas Jimmy Smith for its running back coach opening. Sources tell 247 Sports. Smith, who worked with TCU offensive coordinator Kendall Browse at Arkansas, has coached standout players like Rocket Sanders with the Razorbacks. He previously worked at previously worked at Georgia State and as a state title winning high school head coach in Georgia. Who was the other school that was going after him? I think it was Georgia. Was it not? That was the rumor. Every time there's an opening, there's some rumor, and that's a good thing. I mean, it shows that you have somebody on your staff of value. If you guys have any more questions, fire away. Austin, I don't know if TCU wants to be Arkansas. I mean, that might be wishful thinking. Farrell Hogman says it was Georgia. Yeah, that's right. How is Shamar Easter looking? Was hoping they'd find a place for him since Haz is clearly the starter. Yeah, I think he's going to be a role guy. Until I didn't see him. I didn't see him make a catch today. I don't know. That's a tough one to answer, because it's so abundantly clear that Haz is the guy, and you still got Ty Washington, who's probably going to be tight end number 2, assuming none of these guys hit the portal. What's up, Ty? I'm here listening. What's up, Monterio? How you doing, man? Kate, I don't know if this is you being funny. What do you think the odds are that we win the SEC championship in basketball? I'd say slim to none. Dozier had an end around, or I think it was a double reverse. So what they did today, and maybe they did this last year, and I was focused on the wideouts and the 7-on-7, but they split up the groups today, where you had Bobby Petrino and Sam Pittman, Bobby Petrino on one side of the field working. Like, they split down the middle. This isn't their end zone individual drills. They had them split down the middle, where you had 7-on-7 at the 50-yard line on the other side of the 50, and then on the other side of the 50 you had, the front 7 of the defense, and then they had the linebacker, or the offensive line, and quarterbacks just working on taking snaps and working on footwork. So Dozier apparently on the other side of the field had an end around or something, or a double reverse that he took upfield. Actually, that might have been during a scrimmage. But yeah, I mean, this is where sometimes you wish you had someone else with you there that could film this part and then you watch the other part. But yeah, so I guess Dozier apparently had a couple of good plays today, or at least that one. Someone made a play in the secondary that was really sharp. It was really good looking. Let me pull it up. It might have been. It wasn't Singletary. Singletary, by the way, working with the ones again. Jalen Braxton had a really smooth play where he broke up a pass. I think the intended receiver was, I want to say, it might have been Tesla that was the intended receiver. So moving over to the defensive line, Nico Davier is working with the ones, or at least, that's where he was at. I was told yesterday. I did actually get to see Anton Junkaj. I love doing that because I know it pisses somebody off. Anton, I got to see him in one play today. Didn't do much. He just it was a play that went in the opposite direction of him. He spotted up with the right tackle, did a good job, and pushed the right tackle back. It looked like he had plenty of strength. I was hoping when I saw him that we'd get to see him some more, but that was the only play I got to see him in. Kavion Henderson's been behind him. The interior, Eric Gregory and Ian Jaffrard and Kyle Thompson. So that's your 1, 2s, and 3s on one side. And then, of course, they run 2 defensive tackles. Cam Ball, KV Rose, and Caleb James. Caleb James is that guy that can line up as either an end or a tackle. Landon Jackson, of course. Quincy Rhodes has been with the 2s. And then Collins, the freshman, all 6'5", 252 pounds of him, working with the 3s. He wears number 23 on defense. Xavier Sori at the will, and then Sanford behind him. I don't know who's behind Sanford. Brad Spence has looked pretty good. I saw him break up a pass today. I'm pretty sure that was him. He also had a broken up pass. He's if he's 6'2", he's a tall looking 6'2", 6'2", 240. Of course, he's a sophomore. He burned his red shirt last year. I saw Carson Dean, and then I think it was Bob Holt that told me Caden Henley had been working with the 3s again. I have not been working or seeing a lot of the defense. Snacks Johnson's he's rolling that nickel spot with Danico Slaughter behind him. Number I don't have his number written down. I think it's 3. I know it's a low single digit number. 6'1", 200 pounds. He's been working that nickel spot along with freshman Tevis Metcalf. So that's a group, that's a position that is vital to this defense. And it's good that you got Lorando back, but they've got to get the next guy up developed, and that's thankfully it's a senior, Danico Slaughter. Of course, your safeties, it's Hudson Clark with TJ Metcalf behind him. Him and RJ Johnson, I thought they rotated from yesterday. Jaden Johnson's going to work that boundary spot. Miguel Mitchell and Akari Johnson have been behind him. Your other corner spot, now Jalen Braxton is very clearly the starter there. Really excited about his sophomore year. I hope he doesn't have that sophomore slump kind of year. But Jalen Braxton, I have Selman Bridges at number 2, but that might be wrong. I think him and Marquise Robinson. But I did see Selman Bridges today. He's another one who broke up a pass. He's a true freshman. And, again, me and some other folks were talking. He's another one. He looks – if you were to tell me he was 6'3" or 6'4", I would believe it. The university has him on their list, on their sheet of paper they give us. They have him marked at 6'2". And then you have J.I.M. Singletary and Keon Stewart and Jaden Allen working that left corner spot. So they're – I like what's going on in the secondary. I'm still a little bit concerned, especially because Jaheim is a guy that – or Jaheim, again, that's another name. But they got some tall corners. These guys are all, they're all like 6'1", 6'2". Singletary, who they had listed last year at 6'3", now they've got him listed at 6'2". But there's signs that they're going to be okay. I really wish Dwight McGlothern was returning. Obviously, I if you're going to ask me about Quincy McAdoo, as far as I know, that guy, I think his time at Arkansas is done and over with. But I think that the most pivotal thing this team could do, and I'm a big fan of working from the inside out, and the same with recruiting from the inside out, although that's changed a lot thanks to the portal and how you build your team. It's kind of like now you're just picking out what you need, and instead of just building on just on a foundation. And for me, that foundation has always been built from the inside out. That's what I think. That's what I liked about Houston Nutt. That's how he built his teams. Petrino did a pretty decent job of going out and grabbing some underrated offensive linemen. But I think they're going to need – the defensive line is going to have to be – they're going to have to be monsters this year, because I don't know – they had that big jump last year. They were 123rd in the country where they finished in total yards allowed in 2022. In 2023, I think they finished somewhere in the top 40 or top 40. Fantastic turnaround. I don't know now what their ceiling is, because I don't know that there's anybody in the secondary that I'm looking at and I'm going, oh, that's a potential first all SEC top 3 round in the NFL draft corner or safety. I don't know that the talent level is super high there. Linebackers I feel good about on the surface, and you could probably say the same about the defensive line. Like, yeah, but where are their studs? Well, you're going to have to hope that Nico Davier, who they've moved inside and outside. You've had, I think he's dealt with some injuries along the way. 6'4", 271 pounds. You're going to have to hope that he and Jackson and Junkage and maybe they can get Kavion Henderson going, or who's the other outstanding? Quincy Rhodes, who's a monster, by the way. 6'6", 290 pounds, backing up 6'7", 280 pounds. I mean, they've got some length. I mean, hell, Collins is 6'5", 6'6", 255 pounds. They've got some length at that, especially at the right defensive end spot. But you're going to need these guys, I think, to be stars. Maybe not stars, but have a similar kind of year, what we've seen the last 2 years, and then maybe someone just take off, and someone might be Landon Jackson, who's going to be a senior this year, who's going to be your highest-rated Razorback, by the way, on EA College Football 2025. I'd be shocked if anybody was higher than Landon Jackson. But I think the defensive line is going to need to help the secondary out a little bit. And there are still questions at linebacker, like Xavier Sorey. We don't really know. Yeah, he was a 5-star. He played at Georgia. But this isn't similar to Sanders, who came in from Alabama, who's a 5-star big-time player. This isn't the same situation. You knew you had a really good idea of what you were getting out of Sanders. I mean, we all sat here and talked about it after they got him here. When they signed him, like, okay, that guy's a potential. This is big time. I'm not saying Sorey's not that. We just have more question marks around Xavier Sorey. And he's a different kind of player altogether anyways compared to Drew Sanders. But, I think, again, the defense, there's still question marks. I think it's about the quality of talent. Do they have depth in certain areas on the defense? Yes. You love that they got guys back in the secondary. You like that they got Brad Spence back at linebacker, who was a freshman last year, who played special teams and got some time last year, not just on special teams. But you've got Hudson Clark back. From an experience standpoint, you like that, but he kind of had an off year. He had an off year last year. Let's just be real. Has he peaked? And that's, maybe what we got last year is what you're going to get this year. That's not fair to say about him. He could excel this year. He could have a monstrous final super senior season. Jaden Johnson took the right step in the right direction last year, but I still feel like he's limited. Miguel Mitchell, we'll have to wait and see, the junior transfer, 6'1", 215 pounds. But it still feels like this secondary is still limited a little bit, and you don't have a Dwight McGlothern. You don't have – I just don't think they have the stars in the secondary to then take that next big step from being somewhere in the top 50 to being like a top 20, top 15 yards allowed kind of team. in the passing game. I don't know that they're there yet. The good thing though is that they have one of the, I think, as long as nobody leaves, this is a really good defensive staff. And if there's anybody who can help take these guys into that next level, it is that group. It is that bunch. So, yeah, and again, there's still, like, Jalen Braxton has looked good. I heard, from what I was told, he looked good yesterday, and apparently he had at least 1 or 2 broken up passes today. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. You got Keon Stewart, who had a couple decent moments last year. You got him back. So, yeah, a lot of moving parts in the secondary, but we'll have to wait and see. Never mind, you just answered it. Oh, about Xavier Sorry, yeah. And from the film I saw on Jukic, his bull rushing technique is very good. I don't know about that. I didn't see it. I haven't watched any film on him since being in Arkansas. I only saw that one play, and yeah, he pushed the tackle around pretty easily. Bold prediction: Arkansas goes into Stillwater and smacks Okie State around. Gundy is notorious lately for being pretty unprepared early in the season. And that is true. That is true. There were people early on last year that wanted him out at Oklahoma State. Green will show us the art of interception. Golly, dude. Camo, we're just going to give you the tag of being the most pessimistic. Green will show us the art of the interception. SEC DBs are going to snatch that thing out of the air so quick. Anyways, all right. I think that's really about it that I have in notes. I'm sure I missed out on something. I see you guys are sharing video on Luke Has. Yeah, Luke has looked. I have seen him make play after play in spring camp. I'm telling you, and this isn't a surprise to a lot of you who've paid attention, but he's just got all SEC, all American written all over him. You know, he's got to stay healthy, knock on wood, right? He's got to stay healthy. But I don't know, man. He's just, sometimes you can just tell, you know, like Treylon Burks, you just knew when he got on campus, you know. Green's got such a weird release, Austin says in Discord. Yeah, and that stood out last year when his name started popping up, you started watching film on him a little bit. He's got a little bit of it's not a Ryan Mallett release, you know, I'll just say that. Oh, I was talking about Junkidge's Holy Cross film. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I want to see him do that in Razorback gear in full pads. I want to see him that's what I want to see. I want to see defensive linemen stand out. Not just one day, not just one scrimmage. I want to see it consistently all through spring camp. Man, I wish Ty was healthy. Can't wait to see him back. Yeah, that's something we'll keep an eye on. He walked right by me today, and I was going to stop him and talk to him for a second, but he was off talking to Pat Jenkins, another media guy. All right, that's going to do it. Again, thank you guys so much. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. If you're new, welcome. If you're new, and consider joining Patreon. I dropped Patreon videos. That's the first thing I do when I get to my car. I'm dropping my raw reaction to what I've seen in the day. And it's 2 minutes. They're real short. You know, it's not obviously like a live show, but you guys, if you're Patreon supporters, you're getting live reactions. I'm giving you guys stuff in Patreon chat. You know, now there's no video, no pictures. Those are not posted in Patreon. If they're posted in Discord, they're open for everybody to see. But as far as my takes, they're in Patreon first. So make sure you become a Patreon member if you want to get in on those. We've still got a long ways to go through spring camp. There's Patreon right there. There it is. I'm hoping Cam Ball takes that next step this season, man. He's close. I saw him today actually break through, and unfortunately the play went in the opposite direction, but he blasted through the middle of that line of scrimmage. I looked pretty impressive. Chances Malzahn ever coaches the Hogs. Never say never, but I know a lot of people probably, at least in Springdale, would be thrilled to have Gus here And a lot of people outside of Springdale not so thrilled to see Gus here. I never say never, but I would say slim to none. Joe Cool says, hit the like. That's right. Hit the like button, please. Hang on just a second. Yeah, okay. How's Dozier look? I think I already answered that, but he did make a play off. I think it was a double reverse. Looked pretty good. He looks fast. I've seen him run. I've seen him in practice a little bit. He looks quick. There's some more footage I'm probably going to release on YouTube over the weekend, so you guys can catch it. Make sure you like those and share them and all that. So, all right, I will be back tomorrow for the post game, Arkansas at Alabama. Be sure if you're in Discord, it's a little bit different. If you go and look at it, it's a tad bit different. What we're doing on this prediction, it's either battle scores 30 plus, yes, no, or you can go double XP or nothing, which is battles total points and turnovers. Now remember, you got to get them both right, and if you do, you're going to get double the XP. So let's say your legendary stat or your normie, you're a normie, you're not a Patreon supporter, you'd get, instead of the 150K, you'd get 300,000 XP if you nailed the double or nothing. It's not costing you anything to do it. So, yeah, that's the prediction. That's what's in our Tuss Talk with Ty Discord, and to join that, here's that link as well in live chat. I'll post it for you guys right there. So there you go. All right, guys, that's going to do it. I'll see you tomorrow. Enjoy your Friday. Thank God it's Friday. We made it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Remember, no baseball. I'm taking Alabama to beat the hell out of Arkansas tomorrow, and give me Arkansas for both games tomorrow. Doubleheader. So, yeah, but we will be here for the reaction to the Alabama-Arkansas game. Maybe they'll get an upset, but I'm not holding my breath. You guys enjoy your Friday. I'll see you tomorrow.